Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? It's the man child. Alright, so today up for review, I just got in a new Masters Universe Masterverse New Eternia RAM MAN deluxe figure. Yeah, looking awesome. Another Masterverse figure, just like in hand. I couldn't be happier. Just with his overall look, design, sculpt. Looks like all new tooling from what I can see from the feet all the way up to the top of the helmet. We get some new Eternia concept, I guess, accessories like the armored, another head, which I don't know if they're supposed to be shaded goggles or cybernetic goggles or something, but it's cool you get that, different color. Some hands and axe, and then another head that something like the Origins came with the closed mask style. I love the eyes in this figure, which is pretty cool. Now, I bring that in. I do have a classic, so I'm going to bring them in, which check that out. So with the classics, we can compare them later and the Origins to see if any of the parts will work on these guys. But going back to the classics, I never liked the heads on this. You did get one with the eyes closed, which is fine. Like if you're smashing something, right, you would squint. And you get a second head without the helmet and also eyes closed. So I never liked that with the classics. I'm hoping this head will fit on the classics and vice versa. That'll be pretty cool. Here's a quick look at the art and back of the box at RAM MAN's. Cool. Looks like he has his new Eternia setup with that armor and alternative head with the goggles. Check that out. There's big spikes too I just noticed on that helmet. Awesome. And here's a closer look at the bio. You want to pause and read that. And dropping down, here's a quick look at all the four main figures as part of the single card and Wave 9 series. And figures like RAM MAN and Clawful are obviously the deluxe packaging like this. Okay, and here's a quick look around with RAM MAN out of the package. Yeah, they did an awesome job. I totally love this design for RAM MAN for this Masterverse series. So bringing in RAM MAN for a closer look. Of course, we'll check out the Filmation-inspired head, we'll call it. The open armored there. Yeah, I love it. Check out this, the face sculpt, the eyes. It's got some battle damage here going on the armor, and everything's in a metallic silver color, I want to call it. As far as the articulation with this head on, so we can go left to right. We can go forward about that far and back. Okay, cool. Back about that far. You can see it's a close-up look at all the detail in the eyes. Yeah, awesome. So moving down, he has his iconic shoulder armor with the chain going across, and that's all part of the sculpt and these buckles here. Now that's it's glued in or it's pegged in, I want to say. It looks like if you want to remove it, you could. But here's a look at the back. I checked that it has some springs sculpted in there, like for shock absorbers or something. Yeah, it looks like it's pressed in back here, a peg or glue or something like that. But it is separate. It's a separate sculpt. There's all details and everything. It's pretty soft material, the way it's made up. Not bad. So moving down from the head and armor, you can see now as far as the buck, yeah, total, all new tooling, obviously, just for his size. Good size, too, for the Masterverse. So, like, it's not, like, the Classics is really big, but that's going back to the vintage, what the Origins is doing. It's kind of its own thing, but still reminiscent of RAM MAN. Now, all his armored, right, is all part of the sculpt, so nothing comes off. You can see that it's sculpted or painted on under the underneath the armored here up to the neck. And so as far as the articulation, go left to right, go forward and back. It's got some cool sculpted lacing going here. It's all red, you know, it's you could paint it, fill it in black with a marker or something. You want to give a little more detail. There's the back, same thing. Yep, all part of its own buck and sculpt design. And you can also spin at the waist like this, back and forth. So moving on to the arms. Now, they do look like a different sculpt, a little wider. And I'm going to bring in Galactic He-Man here just to kind of show you comparison as far as the bicep. They do look bigger. Shoulder possibly, but it's hard because they have a piece of armor sculpted on it. You can kind of see the forearms, give you an idea. So as far as the arm articulation, we go all the way up, down, forward, back. Has, you know, the bicep swivel, bend all the way up at the elbow, close to the face like that. Yeah, you can see so double hinge elbow in there, like all the figures have. He has his own unique wrist bracers, very iconic of RAM MAN. Now these are actually sculpted on. Looks like to me where some bracers come off, I think. Yeah, they're all part of sculpt. You see it like where the paint's a little sloppy over the skin. So these do not remove off the forearm if you wanted to. He comes with 2 punching fists in the box. We have a couple other ones I'll bring in. And they can spin. And let's see, the hinge joint, they can go in or out like this. I think both sides are the same. Right? And so you have shoulder armored here. Right? Both sides, yep, identical as well. And you can see that's all part of the sculpt. And I don't know if these arms, they come out. Doesn't look... Well, that pops out, but I can't... It looks like the forearm you want it to, the upper shoulder, can't come out. All right, so I was trying to get the arm out of the shoulder because of the gap, but I don't think it's meant to unless you heat it up. I know usually they separate here and at the hands we show now. I had a QC issue with some chipping or paint wear on the bracer, and what was cool with this RAM Man is I use a silver marker and touch it up and almost match perfect. You know, so if you get some scratches or chipping with this helmet or any of these parts, you can use one of these silver Sharpies. It seems to fill in, blend the color really well. All right, so moving back down to the waist, we know he spins at the waist and all that. Has a cool, it's belt Ram Man's known for. Skull in there with a big belt buckle, big brown leather-like belt. Now this is separate from anything. It looks like this, looks like it might be all part of the sculpt, going back to this Roman defensive skirt armor thing he wears. Yeah, it'd be cool if these were painted too, like the lacing, but that's stuff you can do on your own. Now this is pretty flexible too, and they do have it split. I mean, normally the real belt, these will all be individual pieces, but they do have it split here. Let's see, okay, in a couple different places. So the back goes up, the front goes up here, and then so does the sides. All right. And as far as the legs, now check those legs out. Got the spring legs Ram Man always had it since going back to the vintage, but of course the vintage one would just pop up and down with a button. Now, this is all soft rubber. Check that out. Now, there's no action effect. I thought maybe these would spring, but no, they do have articulation. And so as far as your articulation with the leg, check that out. Go all the way up, do a kick now with Ram Man. Go all the way forward, go all the way back about that far. He does bend, so he has some type of joint inside that rubber. Bend up with the knee. Both knees like that. Can also spin. I would be careful with these though. If you mess around, it feels like something that could over time split. I don't know. It's not super thin, but it's not exactly that thick either. So I'm just pointing that out. Can also spin at the boot, but it looks like this rubber piece is actually tucked inside the boot. So if you want to remove the boot, somehow you would have to separate this. Okay, as you can see how his legs are positioned up in there. Yeah, cool boots. Got some extra detail going there. And as far as the foot, so we can go up, down, and rock side to side. And has a like steel toes, piece sculpted and painted on each foot. It's pretty neat. So just setting him up a little bit with the articulation, I guess he would typically do a charging ram, looking something like this, stand off with one hand and pushing off the feet, or you can use the spring legs like the vintage, but I guess that looks pretty cool. If you want to set a figure up and position them like that. So moving on to Ram Man's accessories, and of course he gets two alternative heads. The first one is this, it looks like something like the Origins did with the faceplate in front. So check that out. You got a little key sculpt in the back there, painted, and you got this. Is this part of sculpt? Yeah, it's all part of sculpt. Metallic band going around here. The eyes look a little bit different, I think, than the one it comes with as far as the sculpt. And of course, you get this faceplate. So we're moving the Filmation style head, and we'll put this alternative one on. And here's a quick look at Ram Man with that alternative head on with the face shield in front. It's pretty cool. And there's articulation left to right, forward and back. This one kind of gets stuck on a peg a little bit. You got to work it in, but you want to check that out. That's awesome. I like that one on going alongside this armored. So for his next accessory, we get this, I want to say New Eternia Concept Armored. Pretty cool. Check that out. Got awesome sculpting in there. It's like a metallic blue color going back to the alternative head or that band in the head I just put on. And all right, you got a little, I guess, clips here for the axe. We'll bring that in soon, but you want to take a look at that. It's got a couple different colors going on it. Some silver spikes here painted in. Of course, this big star piece. Going back something on Castle Grayskull there with the skull. And it looks like it's just take it apart. You're going to pop these two flaps here. So with the alternative head on right now with the face plate, let's try this armored out because it has the same, metallic color. It matches this headband piece sculpted on the helmet. So as far as the armor, it's just going to drop on top of this armor like this and go, over the buck and just, I guess, hang there. And then take a look at the back. We'll just buckle these other two straps like we took off. This one too. Okay, and here's a quick look with that armored on over the main shoulder armored, and we kept that second style head on, the closed-in face mask. Check that out. It looks awesome, pretty cool. And the articulation, everything's pretty much works the same, right? We still bend forward and back. It's got a lot of slack here, which is neat. Sit over top of this big shoulder armored. All right, so moving on to accessories, we have the other alternative head that we're going to put on soon. Got some goggles or shaded glasses going in there. Check out the top with all the spikes, pretty neat. Obviously matched that armor we just put on. Got some orange paint back here, and I don't know if the head looks like it's all part No, it looks like the head's actually, it's a separate sculpt, but it's, I don't know, who knows, pegged or glued up there. And I don't think these shades, looks like too, they might be glued on. I don't know why, you want to take them off, but it's pretty neat how they set it all up. Okay, so I just threw that alternative head on with the goggles there and left this armored on to match everything like in the New Eternia art. As far as the articulation, forward, back, down and up. So RAM Man also comes with an alternative pair of semi-open weapon gripping hands for the left and right side. And I'll put one of the semi-weapon gripping hands in on the side. So just going to push in like that if you're not familiar. And for his last accessory, he comes with his iconic axe that goes all the way back to the vintage, the origins, the classics. There's a little sizes are different, but do get that, some battle damage. And yeah, awesome color, just like all the armor, that metallic silver. And taking a quick look at the back with that armored on, it looks like this axe can snap in those two buckles like that, so that's pretty neat how the armor can hold that axe set up. So let's set up the axe in the right semi-weapon gripping hand on the right side that I put on. And here's a quick look at RAM Man all set up with his new Eternia armor, that alternative head with the goggles, axe in the semi-weapon gripping hand I put on the right side, and just left the punching fist in the left. Check that out. He's ready to go. So for a little size comparison, I just brought in a new Wave 9 Clawful or Deluxe Figure Clawful next to RAM Man so you can kind of see the height and the difference overall in size aesthetics. Here's another size comparison next to the new Eternia Faker with our RAM Man setup. You want to check that out just for height and buck and overall aesthetics. Alright, so moving on for some more comparisons. We have our Master Universe Classics RAM Man next to our Masterverse RAM Man. So of course I set them up in his traditional look, or the Filmation Spire look. I want to check out those two together. Yeah, the heights are pretty close, but of course this RAM Man's a lot larger, like a big refrigerator, where this guy's like a big football player or something as far as the overall buck and design. And here's a side comparison between the Classics and Masterverse RAM Man. And a quick look from the back. So taking a look at the Classics, so I popped the head off the Classics RAM Man, and I want to see if this armored from the Masterverse one can work on the Classics. So I'm going to slide it over like that. So yeah, it's way too wide. I mean, it could just hang there, but there's no way you're getting these straps together. You'd have to really, yeah, I don't even think you could squeeze them. You can't even get one side on. That's how wide this Classics RAM Man is. So if you're curious about will the armor work, yeah, it hangs there, but does not go together. Okay, so I put the open helmeted Masterverse head on the Classics body. You had to force it down. It does work. You know, it's, of course, the Classics has this lower shield that lays in this gap here, but you can make it work if you want to. I do like the eyes now instead of having squinted eyes that like he has no eyes. And here's a quick look at that alternative Masterverse helmet with just a regular face guard there and the other style eyes. And it doesn't look bad. It's kind of cool. It can work on the Classics, go left to right, forward and back. And while I'm at it, I threw that new Eternia head on the Classics too. It's a little tight, could work, but it would look better if you can get the chest rig on, the glasses. Looks out of place, the color, but I'm curious what that looks like. Try it out. And I tried to throw the Classic set on the Masterverse body. Yeah, it's not even, it could kind of, pop off the peg. Well, the pegs are always smaller on that, but check that out. It looks weird, really weird. Definitely designed for the Classics body, but why not try it? Okay, for a little more comparison, let's bring in our Origins RAM Man against our Masterverse RAM Man and see what parts work. So as far as the Origins RAM Man, I put that new Eternia style armor on. It does fit. You have to force a little bit on the one side, but it doesn't look bad at all. Got room up in the shoulders. Pretty cool. So as far as the Masterverse heads on the Origins RAM Man body, I mean, they do go down in the peg, but just something with the way it's a sculpting in this head. So this one, for example, you can put it on, but it can't look down. It can only, that's, yeah, the only way you can seem to work. You can spin it. And that's about it. And I'll leave this armor on. You want to check that out, but it's best I can do with that head. So moving on to the second alternative head with the face mask, same thing. Yeah, it's just something with this particular neck piece for the buck and how, deep the peg can go into the neck or something. So you could push it on about like that, but same thing. It gets, yeah, it just pops off the head. You can't really get it to go down all the way. You can mess around with it, but it's, you see that neck piece? It's not going to go over this. Maybe force to heat it up. But if you can mess around with it, it looks something like that. But for now, it's best I can get it. Just want to see what that head looks like with the armored on. And then for the last custom, I'll just put that new Eternia head on the spot. Same thing. Yeah, it's just something with that neck piece. Will not let this go down all the way. Got to kind of like sit it there, heat it up maybe. Yeah, this head don't even want to go on at all. But if you can mess around with it, force it on. See, right now it's just sitting there. It looks something like that with the armored. And while we're at it, I just drew the Origins head on the Masterverse body, see what that looks like. It does fit on the peg, but yeah, the face shield goes down over the armored, and you know, it's yeah, it works. Looks a little silly, but want to check that out. So overall, I think this new design for the Master Universe New Eternia RAM MAN is one of the best yet. You know, there's so much you can do with them because of the articulation. The heads, the armored, I like that a lot better for RAM MAN. Now, don't get me wrong, the classics and the Origins, which of course originated from the vintage, is awesome. This goes back to nostalgia, and of course he has the action effect like the vintage. The classics did do some articulation in the knees, the feet, can go out a little bit, but not the way the Masterverse one can. You can switch a lot of different parts around like I showed, but they might need a little modification, and it's kind of hit or miss. The heads work on the classics. They're not too bad, but the silver is definitely different than the plate. Now this one matches better, and it does look better. So if I were to change a head out, it would probably be this one on the classics over that big helmet. That's what I wanted to do. It don't look bad. The armor don't work, as we know, and you can switch some parts out with the Origins, but the heads don't really work right. They just get stuck in the up, you know, looking up position because of something with the way the design of the head and how the Origins neck piece is set up. But otherwise, it's still fun. There's a lot of custom ideas, and this is the way to go. One of the coolest RAM Man figures yet. So I appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, take care.